Hi, this is Craig Kreskis. I want to thank you so much for investing time to learn more about the Partner Sales Demo Playbook. This is the fifth iteration. I'll call it Summer 2019. This video is just to give you a quick review. If you're new to the resources, to download it, you probably already have at this point. The link is aka.ms/bizcentral/sales tools. You probably saw there's two editions or two versions under the demos folder. This one that I'll show has clicks, click bubbles, kind of assisted guide, and then there's a version that doesn't. So if you wanted to show a live demonstration or simulate it without the bubbles, it's in there as well. Just a few kind of pointers. So you'll notice on slide 3, I just wanted to make sure that you all understood the navigation. Most importantly, if you ever get lost in full screen mode, you can always click on the number 7 on your keyboard, hit enter, and it'll return you back to the demo dashboard. Again, you've got all of the tips and kind of the demo scenes, how they're aligned, both from a business process, such as quote to invoice, purchase to pay, etc. Or you can show demonstrations in the construct of a role-based demo. The other highlight I want to make sure you see in the preview slides is all of the technology that's hidden kind of behind the scenes. So if you're wanting to understand some of the integrations between, say, SharePoint, OneNote, for example, I kind of created some scenarios here in the Marketing Manager. Another kind of what if scenario is under the customer approval, where I set up some things around Microsoft Flow and Teams around the customer onboarding experience using all of Microsoft Cloud applications. So again, you can kind of go through the slides and see where some of the highlights are as you're preparing for your next demonstration. And then the key to this tool is really slide number 7. This is where you can basically shortcut to any of the demonstrations you have here. If you are already familiar to this, you'll notice that there are 4 new demonstrations that didn't exist. So I've got order to cash without Outlook. So that's a little bit different than quote to cash with Outlook. So we have order to cash, procure to pay, and then we have 2 manufacturing demonstrations that you can show to customers and prospects. If you're new to this, every single one of these has a script in the speaker notes, so you know exactly what to say and where to click. So as an example, if I want to start with the order to cash demonstration, you could click on that link. I'll use some animation to bring me into the demo scene, and then I'll start out with explaining to an audience, hey, here are the 4 scenes that you're about to see, or the 4 steps in that scene, and then we'll go ahead and create the new sales order. And here's where I mentioned you could see you've got this little tooltip to guide you through the process. And then you'll go through your demonstration. Again, you could use your mouse, however it is. You could use your keypad. You really can never get lost. This is how it has been set up. And then you'll see here at the end of the first step, we recap and say, hey, we're going to go ahead and post the sales order. I'll fast forward to the end, and you'll see that in every demonstration or at the end of every demo scene, you will recap what you just showed, but also provide some context as to why that was important. I provided some examples. You're welcome to re-edit if you have some that are more specific in context. You can either select the return to library, which has a hyperlink down at the bottom bar, or because I selected on that icon on the top right, as soon as I hit my right arrow, it'll return me out of Zoom. Or again, you can always hit 7 and return back to the dashboard. Thanks for your investment. Good luck in selling and promoting Dynamics 365 Business Central.
When you get ready to present to the business owner, it's important that you demonstrate how your solution can help them manage cash, control expenses, resolve customer issues, and identify trends. There are some key areas in this demonstration that includes Power BI, the immediate access to both Business Central and all the other Microsoft Cloud applications. Good luck in that demo.
In this demonstration, we'll show you the day in the life of the owner of a business using Dynamics 365 Business Central. To do that, we will walk through how you review the health of a business, how you identify trends and opportunities and not miss any. We'll review customer history and then manage the business.
So the first step is to review the health of the business. And clearly one of the challenges of any business owner is to make sure they have a clear understanding of the entire health of the business. And too often business owners don't have a clear understanding of how they're doing with sales or inventory levels, inventory valuations, project overruns, and even margins. So to begin with, I'm in the role-tailored homepage as the business manager role, which would be typical for most business owners. And you can see immediately the wealth of information, the key metrics, sales this month, overdue sales amount, the overdue purchase amount, any additional information I need here, my incoming documents, outstanding invoices, and I can scroll down to see my cash flow, my favorite accounts if I needed a quick link into those, as well as a embedded Power BI report. So here I can see a quick glance of the key indicators that are important to us, these key performance indicators, or known as KPIs. And I can hover over March and even see, what my gross margin is or my operating margin percentage is. I'll scroll up and then take advantage of a new capability around Intelligent Cloud Insights. This page will show us 4 key areas of interest for most businesses. That's going to be cash availability, profitability, net income, and obviously if I'm running inventory, the value of that inventory. So I'll open up that Cloud Insights, and here you see those 4 key areas. And immediately, what's important to me as a business owner is cash. So I'll open up cash available, and it launches me directly in to my chart of accounts into a review to see what those charts are, as well as what my balance is for cash. I'll close out, and over on the right-hand side, I get some additional insights about my business, starting with that I've got 10 customers who are already late with their payments to me. So I can click on that and see who those customers are. I can see the customer number. I can see the amount, as well as how long ago do they owe us this money. Again, key information, and as the business owner, we all know, I might have to put my collections hat on and call that customer. The next step was to uncover trends and opportunities. And so from here, as you think about it, we use Power BI in our organization extensively. We have a number of different reports and charts and information that's essential to our business today. And with the integrated story or the integrated experience of Dynamics 365 into our other Microsoft Cloud apps, I just navigate up to the left here in the app switcher. I select on all apps to see the apps that I need to get to, including Power BI. And with this refreshed Power BI homepage, I have a lot of my recent reports and dashboards. I'll open up this customer dashboard. I can see my customer sales numbers. And again, all the detail that's relevant to me, what's my open opportunities, calculated current value. And I could drill into this pie chart and see the details around what are the opportunities that are currently in progress, and to see where I can help out and how I can make an impact across the organization. I tend to shortcut to my recents, and again, I see all of the charts, the data sets, the embedded Excel charts that are also part of my experience, but I'm going to focus on the quick insights. And this is a component of Power BI that provides us additional detail that we just don't have in managing our business and just staring at financial statements and looking at reports. We lean on this insights capability to provide additional context of what's happening behind the scenes. And so, for example, these cards provide us with category outliers. I might not see this normally in an Excel spreadsheet or any other information. I might want to see some other trends happening, or again, category outliers. I see Peter Sadow has a lot more opportunities completed than some of the other sales representatives. So again, rich information that's relative to what I'm trying to accomplish. I click on favorites. And in this case here, the finance is the most favorite report for me. I use it every day. I'll open up finance, and again, I can see the graphical nature, the visualization of this is incredible. But I'm getting ready for a big board meeting in front of our stakeholders as well as our senior leadership team. And so to prepare for that, what I can do is under the File menu is I can take this and export it into PowerPoint. And so now I didn't have to do a lot of data manipulation and prep. I click on the slideshow mode. Now I'm in front of my audience and I'm able to show them all the details that I want to around our business, and I continue to advance the slide. And then I get a question from somebody in the audience that says, could we drill into that? And it happens. So of course, I'm confident, and I'm also connected to the internet, that my Power BI integration with PowerPoint enables me to click into that number and I get a detailed view of that total revenue now by year. And based on the year that I've highlighted, I can drill down into further detail based on that quarter. So again, it's information I need to perform my job without having to log in and log out or toggle much between multiple applications. Now, customer history, I have to often be involved again with some of the collections, and as I get back into the application from Power BI, all I need to do is switch to Business Central. And what I like about Business Central here is that I can link directly into the last couple of areas that I was in the application. So if I, for example, open up customers, I get a list of my customers. Trade Research is the one I was asked to do some research on. I'll do the report, and I'll just open up a customer statement, and now I can see some of the details behind the progress that we have with this customer in Word. I'll close that out. And then the last step was, we understand the importance of how I manage the business, and that is obviously around the financial reporting. So I can open up my Excel reports. Again, these are all directly tied to Excel. They're refreshable. So as activities and events are happening in Business Central or changing, that's reflected here in my aged accounts receivable report, and it's in a format that I'm comfortable with, and that's in Microsoft Excel. I can close that out. Now, I could have reports directly here on the home page for me. I can search those reports. In this case here, I'm looking for that customer balance report, and I hit customer trial balance. And now I can see kind of a cross-section of all my customers. I can save this. I can schedule this report to appear directly on my home page in the report inbox as well. I'll close that out. And so that demonstration and that scenario was important to show you how the day in the life of a business owner uses Dynamics 365 Business Central. The benefits clearly around making better decisions, spending less time logging in and out of applications, but using the tools and software and the resources to identify trends in the business, and again, spend less time searching, more time dedicated to analysis and running the business.
In this scenario, we'll show you one way in which you could automate accounts payable process using Dynamics 365 Business Central. To do this, we'll show you how we initiate the process from an incoming document. So this is where a vendor would send me a PDF or a JPEG file. We'll scan the document, so I have an electronic format, and then we'll go ahead and correct and approve. And then we'll receive this from the OCR service. So that's the optical character recognition service. So with that, let's go ahead and begin. So we're going to initiate this from an incoming document. So again, imagine I get a document over to me from my vendor. It's either in a PDF or a JPEG format. And to help streamline that data entry, I'll go ahead and select on my incoming documents. I've saved that file somewhere, either on a share on our Microsoft Teams site, a SharePoint site, or even my local PC. So I'll go ahead and create this from the file. I'll browse out to where we keep those documents, and then you'll notice by doing so, I now have this purchase invoice that came to me from the vendor in a PDF. Next, what I'll do is go ahead and send that over to the OCR service. So I'll click on send, and now you'll see the status has gone from blank to released, and it's being sent over to that status or that service for approval. So imagine then the next step is somebody in the organization who's responsible for approving these purchase invoices before they get processed. So here I am, and I haven't gotten a notification just yet. I know it's about, if I hit refresh, to populate here with a 1, but I click on that, and this will launch me into the service. Again, it's hosted by Kofax, and you'll notice here that this particular document is pending manual verification. So there's some items that came over from the vendor that may be incomplete, or we're not quite sure yet what needs to be fixed. So I'll select on the start. And I can either navigate on the left side of the document by clicking in it to enter in the correct data. So for example, on the date, and then any other corrections that need to be made will be brought to my attention here on the right-hand side. Once I'm done, I can just click OK. And then you'll notice the status of this document has been the document is exporting back into Dynamics 365 Business Central to create that purchase invoice. So let's go ahead and receive it. I'm back in that purchase invoice, and you'll see here I'll go ahead and receive it. And now notice a few things have changed. I've got, instead of released, I have it's been created. I have a status of success, which is great. And now it also took that soft copy, that PDF, and created a document, a purchase invoice, into Business Central. When I click on it, you can see here, right, I've got now a purchase invoice with the line items. And from here, I can go ahead and perform the standard tasks of posting it and then paying it. So what we just saw, the process of automating accounts payable, really the benefits to an organization, you can see where we could limit errors and ensure that the data accuracy by leveraging this service, and it also helps us to improve the control of the data in our business. In this demonstration, we'll show you how to consolidate companies using Dynamics 365 Business Central. In the scenario that I show you, we'll select the business units, we'll then test the consolidation, we'll run the consolidation, and then review the consolidated trial balance. Let's begin. So I'm logged into Dynamics 365 Business Central. You'll notice the company that I'm consolidating across. This is called the Consol. Okay, they could have different chart of accounts. We have companies that use different fiscal years and different currencies, and either the full amount or a percentage of the company's financial information. And we're even using different currency exchange rates into the individual general ledger accounts. So there are a number of different scenarios in which you can consolidate these companies. In this case here, let's go ahead and start. We're going to do a search, and I want to type in, the consolidation begins with the business units. So from the search box, we'll type in business units. I'll select the business unit, and here you can see I've got business unit 1 and business unit HQ. So before running the consolidations, users will want to preview the results prior to actually running it. So I'll go under functions here and select test the database. And I can either filter on, again, the start date and end date. I can filter on the business unit itself. If I don't, I get all of them and I hit close, and then I can see the next page here. And page 2 displays, again, the results of company number 2. And then from the functions, I'll select run the consolidation, and I will choose OK, and then confirm the steps to run the consolidation for that period, and then preview that on the screen. And now I get the consolidated trial balance report that combines the GL entries, or the general ledger entries, from each of the companies into the consolidated or new company. So in this scenario, it was just to show you how you can consolidate companies using Dynamics 365 Business Central. In this demonstration, it will provide you an illustration of what a basic business process of onboarding a new customer while taking advantage of Dynamics 365 Business Central, Microsoft Outlook, Microsoft Flow, and Microsoft Teams. It does incorporate 3 unique personas that I'll be logging in and out of to demonstrate the business process that's taking place here. Let's begin. So the first thing I'm going to do in this scenario is show you how we would create a new customer. Then that request would go to the administrator, who would then approve the credit terms. Update the sales representative both via email and also notify them in a channel in Microsoft Teams. And then a prospective customer would receive a welcome email welcoming them to our organization. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and create a new customer. So I'm logged in as Alex, and you'll see Alex is the sales representative. I go ahead and create a new customer. I'll type in the name. In this case here, it's Aaron Fitz Electrical, and then I'll enter in a credit limit of 3,200. And I want to make sure, because I'm going to use this to generate some of the automation and the business processes, in that I'm going to set up the email address to Adele V. Now, once I have that new customer, I want to get it approved within the organization. So I'll go ahead and send that over for those who are responsible for approving this customer and their credit terms. Now I'm logging now back in as some other individual in the organization, the administrator, who gets an email notification that notifies me that there's been a new customer, Aaron Fitz, who needs to be approved. I can click on the link here and go ahead and approve that, add additional context that the customer has been approved, and then I go ahead and submit. Now what that does, branches out and does a few things. First, it will notify my sales representative. So I'm logged back into Outlook via Alex here in the top right corner. And you'll see that Alex gets a notification that says your customer has been approved. Then also, if I switch from Outlook into Teams, you'll see into the channel under General, I also have a notification of updating the entire team that we've approved that customer to do business. And then the last step would be that a customer potentially receives a welcome email. So if I were to log into another version of Outlook where I'm now the prospect or the customer, you'll see here again that Adele V, I am receiving a standard email that says, welcome to Kronos, thanks for your business. By the way, here are some steps that you can take on in order to welcome yourself and have access to information on our website. So just kind of a vision demonstration to show you what is possible in taking advantage of Dynamics 365 Business Central, along with some of the other Microsoft Cloud applications to improve or automate the customer onboarding experience. This scenario will demonstrate the dropship sales order process in Dynamics 365 Business Central. We'll begin by creating the sales order. Then, as a result, we'll create the purchase order. There'll be an intermediary stop that you may not see in the software. That's just to dropship to the customer. But then we'll post the sales order, and then we'll post that purchase invoice. Let's begin. We'll go ahead and create the sales order. So I've got a customer who wants particular products, and so we'll go ahead and create that sales order. And I'll select either type or select the customer here. It's a datum. And then you'll see here, I'll automatically be sent down to the description. I can type that in, or we'll select it. And now notice I've got an option just to the right of the description. There's a column that says, do I want to drop ship this? Again, just to help me better manage my inventory. And then we'll enter a quantity of 1, and then we'll go ahead and close that out. So I've got a sales order, which has been designated as a drop ship. So then let's go ahead and create the purchase order. All right, so the sales order has been entered. And the next step is to go ahead and create the purchase order. I'll go ahead and click on the purchase order. And we typically will order this from this vendor. I want to go ahead and do one thing. So now the header information is entered in. It hasn't been entered in yet, right? But I want to go ahead and collapse the general. And I want to show you where the ability for me to align or tie the sales order to the purchase order. I'm going to go ahead and change this ship to address. And I'm going to select the customer address. And I'm going to select the customer. Right, so with that customer now selected, I can come up into the warehouse and choose the drop ship sales order. And I'm going to go ahead and choose to get the sales order. So again, these are all the outstanding sales orders. This is the most recent one at the bottom of my list. I'll select OK. And now notice I bring in the appropriate line information that came in from the sales order. I'll go ahead and select Post. And then we'll just simply, since the vendor will ship it, we'll receive the items and then just check OK.
and I'll print out just so you can see what that purchase order looks like. And that can be distributed to the vendor. We'll go ahead and post and invoice the customer, right? So here we are in the sales orders. I've got 7, and at the bottom is that most recent sales order. You can see it's been released. And if I scroll over to the right side, you get some of the additional detail, right? We have 1 order and then 1 quantity that's been shipped, but it hasn't been invoiced yet. Now it's kind of interesting here too. I can predict before confirming this, whether or not that payment is going to be on time. That might help. And then also I'm going to go ahead and post, and then we'll go ahead and invoice the customer. So you can see here where I'm actually generating the sales invoice which can be electronically sent over to that customer. And then the next step is I need to pay the invoice. So we'll go ahead and select my purchase orders. This is still an open purchase order. I'll go ahead and post that and then invoice. And notice that's gone from my open purchase orders. I would then follow through the steps in which generating a check and then or sending payments to that vendor. So what you just saw really was what can be a complex process depending on the actual software that companies use, but really using in Dynamics 365 Business Central, we're able to really automate that process, streamline the inventory management, and also maintain good relationships with my customers and getting them products and goods in a timely manner. In this demonstration, we'll show you how to enter in a sales order via a mobile device. The steps in which we'll perform this demonstration is to enter the sales order, post the sales order, send to the customer, and then we'll view the customer balance. And really the highlight of this presentation is that I can manage virtually any task or activity all from a mobile device or from a tablet. Let's begin. So you see here as I begin within my demonstration, I'm logged into my mobile device. This happens to be the iOS Apple experience. Again, we do support all the mobile platforms. And it is exactly how this appears on my web application. So it's something called Product Parity, in which all of the tiles, all the information I have here is mirrored in regardless of the platform that I'm using. Let's begin here. So you notice I've got the ability to scroll up and create a sales order. And from within there, I'll go ahead and just select the list of my customers. Again, I've got some rich information as well as looking at their customer, their balances. I'm going to go ahead and select a datum. They have a 0 balance right now. And there I get the header information. I can scroll up and then I'll add the line items to the order. So depending on what I want to do here, I can select or just type in. I prefer on the mobile device just to use my finger to select those items. We'll choose we have 10 pieces of this Antwerp conference table. And then now that line item's been added for $647, I'll go ahead and back out of the line item view. And then I can select the ellipsis and determine whether I want to post or post and send this document. We'll go ahead and do post and send just to show you the rich capabilities. It's going to create a PDF for me. And then we'll also do the ship and invoice all within one click. And notice now I could send, so I created the sales order, and then I could also send this PDF to my customer, again, right from within my mobile device. Now let's go ahead and see what else we have in terms of the customer balance. So I can select on those 3 lines. Notice I see my customers. A datum now has a balance of $686. And then I can drill into that and see the sales order that I just created. So in this demonstration was really designed to show you the breadth and the capabilities of performing a very common task, such as entering a sales order directly from within a mobile device. And clearly, the benefits around spending less time on data entry, but also providing users with a way to quickly and easily access customer history. Your organization may consist of several companies, but might not have the equivalent number of accounting and administrative teams. The intercompany functionality lets you do business with your subsidiary
and internal partner organizations in the same way that you would engage with external vendors and customers. You enter in intercompany transaction information only once in the appropriate documents, and then you could use the functionality you're already familiar with, such as receivables and payables. Let's take a look at how we would perform that task. So in this scenario, we're going to go ahead and create a purchase invoice in the main parent company. I'm going to approve that transaction in the subsidiary company. We'll post that journal in the subsidiary and then review the impact of the ledger. The scenario is your parent company, they receive an invoice from a vendor or for consulting services, and some of the costs, about $1,000, are incurred by the the parent company, whereas some of the costs, about $750, will be deferred to the subsidiary company. So I'm logged into Dynamics 365 Business Central, and again, in the headquartered company, I'll create a new purchase invoice. This is the vendor we're going to work with, Fabricam. And notice the type in the line item is a GL account. And then from there, I can choose which general ledger. So we'll just choose, in this case here, rent expense. And I'll use it as, again, as possibly the consulting services. I'll enter a quantity of 1, and we'll enter in $2,000. So I'm paying for rent. And then on the new line item, this is where I'll select rent again, and I'll enter a cost of $1,250. However, we're going to actually share that cost with one of our subsidiaries. I'll enter a GL account under the intercompany partner reference type, and then the partner code. I'll charge that or bill that back to the company number 1. And then I'll go ahead and post, and you'll see that we navigate, and you can see the ledger entries based on what just occurred. So on the first line, right, we'll go ahead and credit $1,250. That's the charge direct rent fees to the company 1. And then you'll notice here the increase in expenses, $3,250 to the parent company. And then there's a increase here in my accounts receivable for $1,250. Now, the subsidiary company needs to approve the transaction. We don't want to just have anybody sending out invoices and billing us. So if I'm logged into now the company 1, you can see it here up in the top left corner, you'll notice that in my inbox, we have some pending transactions. So this is the intercompany transaction. I'll click on this, and I want to see what it is that I'm being charged, so I can open up the details. I see it's for $1,250, and what the general ledger is going to be for a rent. Okay, that makes sense. And so I'll go ahead and accept those charges and then close that out, and I no longer have anything else to transact or to worry about. And now in the posting, so I'm still in company 1, we'll go ahead and search on the intercompany general journal, and you see that rent expense. We'll go ahead and post those charges, and then I could take a look at that impact it has on my ledger. So again, on the same home page, I can scroll down, and you'll notice here, if I now drill into that accounts payable, there's that $1,250 that we've incurred, and I can navigate and drill into the detail of the resulting ledger entries. So in this demonstration was just to show you how you can manage intercompany transactions between subsidiaries within your organization using Dynamics 365 Business Central. In this demonstration, we show you how to perform make to stock with Dynamics 365 Business Central. Now, keep in mind, right, make to stock is a typical strategy that businesses rely on to match production and inventory with customer demand forecasts. The advantage of producing for stock is companies are in the most scenarios able to spread the production evenly over a given period of time. Well, let's begin in this demonstration showing you how we enter in a sales forecast. We'll then create a production plan and then create a production order. So first, we'll go ahead and create a sales forecast. And so here I am, I'm logged into Business Central, and by default, I'm using the Production Planner role-based homepage. So that gives me context, actions and activities and information that's specific to me and the job that I'm performing. Up at the top, you'll notice that I have the demand forecast. And then so from here, I can select any one of the forecasts that we've created, or I can certainly create a new one. And in this view, which is configured, you can see here, configured by the month, users can quickly and easily understand the forecast sales item and the related components. Now, while there's additional views that can be displayed either by day, week, month, year, even accounting period, right? I can see that my current forecast in April, May, and June for this particular item, the bicycle. Next, all right, depending on or based upon that demand forecast that we just saw, right, the next step is the master production schedule. I need to create a plan of order for those suggested items. So in that same role-based homepage, I'll select my tasks and the planning worksheet, which is used to plan production, assembly, purchase, and transfer orders just based upon the specified demand forecast. So I'll click on that. And now planners can take advantage of basically the embedded intelligence to assist in their tasks. So when the planner selects this calculate regenerative plan, the application creates suggested orders, uh, purchase orders, production orders, assembly, etc., into the planning worksheet. Notice now you've got some detailed options which you can select prior to creating the plan. In this case here, I've got MPS selected. I have to generate the production order to satisfy the demand for the bicycle. I'm using the start date and end date of May 1st. To filter on to use the plan just for that month. My forecast is the 2019, and I'm filtered on the bicycle, the item number 1000. I'll select OK, and now the planning sheet has been created, right? And you see the highlights here. So in number one, in the action message, it says new. In the description, you see the bicycle, you see the reference order type is the production, and then you see the reference order number, and then you see the quantity of 150 based on that demand. And now I'll create the production order. So the planning worksheet lines are converted into production orders if this is selected. You have the accept action message checked. And then by choosing the carryout message or the carryout action, the system will remove the suggested line items and it will create the production order. Right, the production order is created. Now I chose it to create it as firm planned. Based on that selection, then users can select additional options to specify how the assembly order, the purchase order, and the transfer order should be handled. I'll click OK. And then that planning worksheet now is blank, it's clear. So all the lines from that planning worksheet with the accept action message was selected, they're removed when the carry out option is chosen. And now you'll see here in the last step, I have returning the production plan or role center. I've got a 1 under the firm plan production orders in the activity queue. In this demonstration, we'll show you how to manage your inventory using Dynamics 365 Business Central. We'll begin by showing you how to check the item availability, if you're using multiple locations or warehouses, what that looks like. Then we'll follow the process of assembling an order, so creating a kit. And then we'll leverage technology, AI or artificial intelligence, to predict some of the inventory needs that I may not realize I need in my business. Let's begin. We're going to go ahead and do a check item availability by location. Once I recognize the shortages, I'm going to have to create that purchase order, and then I'll confirm that purchase order. So I'm logged into Dynamics 365 Business Central. Immediately, I'll click on the items list. And this just gives me such an insightful graphical view of each of the items. But more importantly, it does also display the quantity that we have on hand. And you'll see here at the bottom, I'm looking at this Atlanta whiteboard. We have 10 units in stock. Now I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick search. I'm looking for a particular report, and I can either use the Alt key or just do a search. And I'm going to type in order planning, We'll select order planning. And recalling from the quick view, right, we had 10 of those whiteboards that were currently in stock. However, when I run the demand planning here, you can see that the current demand that we are actually short 2 of the units. So we've got demand for 12, I have 10 in stock. What I want to do next is also see what's that availability by location. So even though in my current scenario that you see here, I don't have any inventory across other warehouses, it's important to show that this capability is available. And again, notice the requirement is 12, excuse me. We've got 10 on hand. I need to create, somehow get 2 into stock to satisfy that customer. Well, with a single click, I can actually create or make an order from this window, and I can create that purchase order, and I'll select OK. Now notice that Atlanta Whiteboard is no longer listed under the order planning window. So we can go ahead and close this out. And then you'll see if I open up purchase orders, this is the recent purchase order I created ending in 007. We have a need for 2 additional of these Atlanta whiteboards. And then, of course, I won't go through this, but you would follow the standard process in Business Central of creating or posting the purchase order. I'll email that to the vendor and then follow the standard receiving processes. So next, what I want to do is assemble the order. Obviously, we're not going to assemble it until the sales order, but again, based on demand, what I'll do is I'll create the new sales order. I'll select the customer from the drop down, in this case, a Datum Corporation. And then under the items, I want to go ahead and sell this conference package. And this is one of the items which is comprised of several items that we have in inventory. I'll go ahead and enter in a quantity of 1. And notice I get that there isn't enough in inventory to satisfy this customer demand. I'll select yes. And to the right of the column that's titled quantity to assemble, you'll see that there's an ellipsis. Again, let's go ahead and select that from the drop down. And now the conference package you see here is comprised of a number of different items, right? 1965W, 1953W, and there's also a unit of measure 1 hour of labor by one of our consultants or one of our resources. Now, from the sales order, I can either select Alt Q or I can use the search box here, type in assembly orders. And again, when I open that on the current page, that will help now by posting the assembly order. This places the kit essentially into inventory. Then once this is complete, I can use this. I'm able to complete and post that sales order. So now I've got that conference package, it's been assembled, and now I just need to go ahead and post that. The third and final step was just leveraging some of the technology around artificial intelligence to help me understand what I actually need in my inventory and better manage that. So just as we did earlier, I'll select on the items. Now I'll draw your attention over the bottom right corner. Now reviewing our items, right, in this embedded app for the sales and inventory forecast app, you can see that we have a very strong sales forecast that is currently selected for the next few months. When I choose the drop down here, I can say, well, let me take a look at what the inventory forecast looked like. And that, again, after 2 months, I'm going to have some issues here. It appears that we are going to be short, and I need to be able to notify somebody, or better yet, assuming I'm in a role where I can procure those items, I can immediately create a purchase order for the additional 43 items so that we don't fall short and upset our customers. Now, before I go ahead and perform that, you'll notice I actually get a notification, a smart notification that says, pointing me out the fact that I actually order additional items from this vendor. Again, so some of that artificial intelligence or Cortana intelligence is telling me that you may want to take advantage of some additional discounts. Maybe I can get better terms by adding all these items into a single purchase invoice. So I'll go ahead and post that. And again, in this scenario was just to show you some ways in which we can help address the improved decision making and how we manage our inventory level and supporting our customer demand. In this demonstration, we will show you the opportunity management features in Business Central while demonstrate the common business process of opportunity to quote. We will begin by creating a sales opportunity, then activate and update the sales stage, convert that to a sales quote, and then we'll send the quote over to the customer. Let's begin. So the first step is to create a sales opportunity. So I'm logged into Dynamics 365 Business Central. This happens to be the Roll Tail at homepage for the sales manager. And as you can see here, if we scroll down, I've got highlighted here all of my open opportunities, and I have 6. So I've got 6, none of which represent the new opportunity, right? I view the list, I see the salesperson or the owner, and I can quickly view those opportunities with a status of in progress. It doesn't look like the opportunity I wanted to add is here yet. So I'll click on the new opportunity. I'll enter in a description along with my contact, in this case here, Robert Towns. And that's how I create a new opportunity. Next, I want to activate and update the opportunity with some additional details. So let's go ahead and activate the stage. And now that's been activated. Now I need to update the details, meaning what is the opportunity value, what is the probability that we'll close this, and then my estimated date for closing. And then I can click OK. And now that opportunity has been updated to provide some additional details that we could then use in managing in our pipeline. So the customer calls, and I think this is actually a real opportunity that we're going to go ahead and convert to a sales quote. Again, without ever having to leave and use any additional applications, I could do this entire process within Dynamics 365 Business Central. Now, to assign the opportunity to a quote, up in the ribbon here, you'll notice here I've got this opportunity highlighted. I'll create the sales quote. And now I'll actually put in a description of what all the line items are. So I'll choose here the Athens desk, and we'll do 1. And then I'll enter in another line item here. This is going to be the Paris desk. And now I've got 2 line items here for my quote. So I took an opportunity and now converted that to a sales quote. Next is I'll go ahead and send this quote over to my customer. So again, I've got quote 1004. I'll send this over to the customer via email, and any additional details, maybe even they could be eligible for a discount. Again, all of this standard template and form is configured when you first begin to implement Business Central. And then the client, as you can see here, if I were logged into the client, they receive the sales quote I just sent. I can open up that attachment, and then you see those two line items on my sales quote. And now I have 1 additional opportunity. I went from 6 opportunities to 7. So in this scenario, we showed you how to create a sales opportunity, activate the stage, convert this, and then send it over to the customer. And again, the highlight here is that I'm able to perform this common business process all under a single application using Dynamics 365 Business Central. In this demo scenario, we'll talk about a very common business process in most organizations called order to cash. Now, to demonstrate this scenario, we have 4 steps. First, we'll start by creating a sales order. Then we'll post the sales order. We'll view the invoice details and then register the customer payment. So let's begin by creating a new sales order. So I'm logged into Dynamics 365 Business Central. I have all the shortcuts that I need to simplify the experience in many of the common tasks, such as entering in data. So you'll see here right at the top, I have that action item to be able to create a new sales order. I could either type in the customer name, or I could just choose from the list of my customers. I'll select that company. And now what I can do is I can continue to tab across the fields, or I could just simply select enter, and that will shortcut me directly to one of the fields that I've designated as the next logical step in entering data. Now I can go ahead and type the item name or select the item number. Notice if I type in the name into the item number field and then I select tab, Business Central understands what I was trying to perform, and it will actually put in the item number in the appropriate column and then place the corrective description in its appropriate column. I'll tab across the windows. Now, I have some ability now by selecting something called focus mode that can streamline and enhance the data entry. So if I select on focus mode, you'll notice I get a much larger real estate or additional space where I can enter in line items on the particular document. Let's go ahead and select the items. And by holding down my control key on my keyboard or my shift key, I can choose multiple items. So in this case here, I just did a multi-select. I select OK. And now I have additional line items enter my field. Again, much streamlined experience. I could exit that focus mode, and now you see that I've entered in my sales order ending in 1005. Well, the next step is to post the sales order. So I'll return back into the sales order. And under the posting menu, I'll just select preview posting. I just want to make sure I understand the impact this will have on our ledger accounts. Everything looks good, so I'll go ahead and select post. And depending on the business process within the organization would determine what selection I make here. In this scenario, we're going to go ahead and ship and invoice at the same time just to streamline this process. And I select OK. And now that sales order has been moved out of the ongoing sales order list. The next step is just to view the invoice details. So from the home page, I'll select the sales menu and I'll choose posted sales invoices. And you'll see at the top of the list, this is sorted with the most current invoice at the top. The invoice that I just created for that customer, I can click on the link and that'll open up the invoice that I posted, as well as I can see additional details or the statistics regarding this particular invoice. So again, a very comprehensive view of the sales order, including profit, margins, costs, etc. And then the last step is to register the customer payment. So from the home page, you'll see I have a shortcut for payments. And by selecting that, I'm going to go ahead and register the customer payments. I'll select a datum, which is the submitted payment for their most recent order. And I'll preview that posting. I've got the check, the money that will be applied. And then I'll post the payments. And then if I scroll down back at the home page, you'll notice here, if I click into my checking account, you'll see that that payment that I received from that customer has been applied accordingly. So what you just saw in order to cash, be able to create a sales order, post the sales order, see the invoice details, and then receive payment to that. Really the benefits is to increase productivity, and as you saw in many scenarios or actions here, is a way to reduce time in data entry. In this demonstration, we'll review the process of procure to pay using Dynamics 365 Business Central. To achieve this demonstration, we will walk through 4 steps. First, we'll create the purchase order. Then we'll email the purchase order to our vendor. Then once we receive the goods, we'll receive it and convert that to a purchase invoice, and then eventually paying the invoice. Let's begin by creating a new purchase order. So I'm logged into Business Central. I happen to be by default using the Business Manager Role Center homepage. And thus, as a result, I have some key shortcuts or key actions that I can perform right from within the homepage. In this case, simply adding or creating a new purchase order. Now I could type in the vendor name via keyboard, or I could use the drop down to select Fabricam as my vendor. You'll notice that once I select the vendor over on the right-hand side, I've got some key information on the information pane. And then back to the purchase order, I've set up the default behavior so that when I select enter after selecting the vendor, I choose enter, and my personal preferences were to go directly to the item number field. Now I begin to perform my task of entering those line items, but notice as I'm typing the word Sydney, which is a text field being populated into a number column, I choose Sydney, I'll enter in a quantity of 1, And let's minimize the information pane just to get a little bit more real estate. And to highlight what just happened, I accidentally typed in a Sydney description into the item number field, but Business Central knew what my intentions were and put the appropriate fields of item number and description. Now I have a few more items to add to the purchase order, so I'm going to leverage this focus mode, this icon here that gives me a much greater scale or more platform or a wider form to enter in the items for this purchase order. Now I can manually type that into the list, or I can just use the select items and then the shortcut keys on my keyboard, which I'm familiar with in most other applications, either holding down the shift key or my control key. I can go ahead and multi-select items either in a contiguous or non-contiguous row, and then I'll select OK. I'm done with this purchase order. I'll exit focus mode, and then I've created that purchase order. Let's go ahead and email that to the vendor. So all of my open purchase orders are listed here in this live tile. At the bottom, you see the most current one I created. That is ending in 006. I can click on the link to open that up. I'll send this out to my vendor. All the default configurations, both from an email address, the subject, and the body of the email come through based on how we set up and configured the purchase sending of the purchase orders. And I can, of course, click on the attachment just to review it before I send it to the vendor. And then I'll click OK. That looks good. And next is to receive that. So the items now have arrived at our warehouse, at our dock, at our office, and after inspection, the individual who's responsible for confirming the receipt will then go ahead and release that. And we'll begin by opening up the purchase orders, again 1006. Notice the status is open. I'll go ahead and select post. And this again, we're just go ahead to receive that into the warehouse. Notice that status changed from open to released. Next, I'll convert this to a purchase invoice. And in order to do that, again, I'm back in the purchase orders. I'll click on post. And this time we'll select invoice. And that will remove it from my open purchase orders. I'll close that out. And then the last step is to pay the invoice. To do that, again, right from the home page, I've got a shortcut key under the actions to be able to create a vendor payment. And with this payment highlighted, again, 1006, I'll go ahead and create that payment. You can see I've got the terms set up for me for this vendor, and I'll go ahead and print that check. I have a number of different options which I can edit the check. And then here's a preview of what it would look like on my screen. We'll go ahead and hit print. Now the vendor has a check on its way, and we'll go ahead and close this out by posting that payment. And to confirm the payment, you can also review all of the transactions associated to vendors. So from the top menu bar, I'll select on vendors, Fabricam's highlighted, and then over on the right-hand side, you'll see that I've got an outstanding balance with them. And you can see the most recent payment that we made to that vendor. So that is the procure to pay process. Again, we began by creating a purchase order. We emailed that order to the vendor. We received the goods, we invoiced it, and then paid that invoice. Really, the benefits of this demo scene was to show you how we can increase productivity and also streamline that process of procure to pay. Production orders are used to manage the conversion of purchased materials into manufactured items. Production orders route work through various work or machine centers on the shop floor. Now, before proceeding with production, most companies typically perform a supply planning, typically once a week, to calculate how many production orders and purchase orders to execute to fulfill that week's sales demands. Now, just a quick tip: in order to demonstrate the manufacturing capabilities, you will need to enable the premium SKU that can be located under the company information window, and then opening up user experience and selecting premium. Let's begin. And the process here is to confirm the component inventory availability. We'll then release the production order. The third step will be to update and post production journal and then finish the production order. We'll go ahead and begin. Let's go ahead and confirm the component inventory availability. And we'll do that. Basically, the output will be to generate a shortage report, right? So before releasing the firm plan production order to the shop floor, it's usually commonplace or good practice to verify that all of the items used by the production order are available in inventory. So I've got my one firm planned production order, and I can open that up. And now checking, I've got this production order, firm planned production order highlighted. I can check the production order shortage list. And when I open up that shortage list, you can see that I have a need. There are 11 items that are showing material shortage for this particular production order. Now, the reason for the report is we don't want to put a production order on the shop floor without having those components or the raw materials to build them. Next, we'll add the 11 items, the item components, into inventory that are short so that we could, for the production order, and then we'll use that for the item journal. So up at the top of the ribbon, you'll see I'll select journals. We'll go to item journals as a quick way to enter in those 11 items versus having to create multiple separate purchase orders. I'll select on the default journal, and here you see I've got those 11 items with the quantities, and I'll go ahead and post those. Now I have those in inventory. Now I can go ahead and release the purchase order. So I'll open up that firm planned production order, and I'll change the status. Now that I have all those shortages completed, I'll change it from firm planned to released. And then I'll select OK. And then I'll get a confirmation message. It says it's been released. And now notice it's out of the tile for firm planned. And now it exists in the released production order queue and is ready to build on the shop floor. Now the production journal combines the functions of consumption journal and output journals into a single journal. This journal provides a single interface to register consumption and output for a production order. I'll go ahead and select, again, by opening the release production order to report the item components and the work machine center's actual usage and record finished goods into the inventory stock via journal, production journal. Now I'll open up that particular production order. And again, with this item highlighted with my bicycle, item number 1000 highlighted, I could then just select the production journal in order to report that usage. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and for the wheel assembly, that output on that work center, I'm going to go ahead and enter in 100. And then I'll tab over to the runtime and I'll enter in 1750. And again, I'll tab off of that. And then finish specifies, this is the column over on the right side here, this finish specifies the operation that's represented by the journal line output is finished. This changes the status in the routing status field to finished on the production routing. So we'll go ahead and select that. And then you'll continue entering the appropriate values for setup time and runtime for the remaining 3 outputs. And once I do that, now that all the consumption and the output has been entered, I could use post to update the actual material and the work machine center usage and the outputs for the finished goods, in this case the bicycle, into inventory as stock. Just keep in mind that production journal can be opened multiple times, posting partial consumption and usage of the work machine centers in a production order. Verifying that I do want to post that, I'll go ahead and select yes, and then I get a confirmation that all of that is now complete. Now a release production order finishes when you change its status to finished. So either directly from the PO, the production order, or as part of a batch using the change production status jab. So I'll do that by coming back into the production order. In the release production order, the finished quantity now shows here that I've got 150. And these are now ready to sell. And to finish the process, simply change the status and go from released to finished, and I'll select OK. I'll select OK again. And then if I want to look at those finished production orders and get some details around it, I can navigate to the production order statistics
and see what my expected costs were versus my actual costs. And then again, in this, I get a snapshot of the deviation percentage, which is a calculation between actual and standard cost. So the goal of the scenario was just to demonstrate the process here in producing a production order. And you can see clearly the benefits of this process in Dynamics 365 Business Central. One of the simple ways in which we see the blending of productivity tools and business processes of Dynamics 365 Business Central is through Microsoft Outlook. In this demonstration, we'll show you quote to cash, also known as email to money, in which I get an inbound email request from a customer, and I'm going to process that in its entirety, this entire business process through Microsoft Outlook. So the steps here are we're going to enter in a sales quote. We'll send it via email. I'll convert that quote once it's been approved by the customer. I'll convert that to an invoice. We'll then post the invoice and convert to cash. Now, again, keep in mind this entire business process, very common for most organizations, is being managed entirely through the integration between Business Central and Microsoft Outlook. Let's begin by entering a sales quote. So imagine the scenario. You receive a request for a quote from one of your existing customers. Now, that customer wants some pricing information for two items, happens to be a London swivel chair and the Antwerp conference table. And typically in that process, right, for most organizations, you have to minimize Outlook. You most likely have to open up some quoting system, whether it's a sales management, customer management solution, or perhaps your accounting system. You got to go log in, you got to go find that customer, and then begin to enter in the request. With the integration as tightly as it is, as a user, I simply click on the Business Central add-in in my ribbon. I'll select Contact Insights, and you can see actually before I create the document, I get a rich set of information. This is a live feed from Business Central into Microsoft Outlook. So you can see up at the top, there's details that I could drill into, such as balance, past due, life-to-date sales, etc. Or down below, as an example, I might want to just further understand what's happening with this customer. I could drill into the tiles and see what we've shipped to the customer in the past. Might be, again, important for me to review that history. So again, I can see all of that information at a single click without having to request it from someone else in the organization. Now, of course, the inquiry was to create a new sales quote. So I'll select on the new sign. Because it's a customer, I get the sales related activities or tasks. I select on sales quote. Now, one of the things I think is extremely important to point out right here is not only does it recognize, meaning the applications are synchronized in recognizing the customer and the details behind the customer, but Microsoft Outlook is constantly monitoring the body of my email, and through the use of some intelligence, automating intelligence, it recognizes the what's in the body of the email along with what I have in inventory. And so it's helping me with data entry by suggesting the items. I'll select OK. And now you'll notice I've got quote 1003 and the two line items that are added to my sales quote. Now, just to show you what's happening behind the scenes, right? So we've got quote 1003. If I were to minimize Outlook and open up Business Central, you'll see in the live tiles here at the bottom left, I have 3 sales quotes. And there is that quote 1003. So this is happening simultaneously as I'm entering in data in Outlook. It is being replicated or brought into Business Central. So here you see that quote. The next step in the process, let me go ahead and get approval from the customer. So we'll send that via email. So I'm back in Microsoft Outlook. Over in the top right corner, we have these 3 ellipses, and I'm going to go ahead and send this via email. Now, of course, I want to make sure to review the quote just to make sure of any accuracies or inaccuracies. So I can open that up. And as you can see here, this is nothing more than a document that we could certainly edit in Word. But I have the attachment, and this looks exactly like what we need to send. Now the customer calls me and they approve it, or they send me a response via email. So the next step is to convert this sales quote 1003 to an invoice. So again, up in the top right corner, you'll notice here I can either convert this to a sales order,
or in this case here, our process is to go from quote directly to an invoice. So I'll go ahead and make that an invoice. I get a prompt just to confirm. And now you'll see the change in document number. So it went from a quote to a sales invoice ending in 2222. We'll minimize Outlook, and notice now I have one fewer quotes, as well as I've incremented or increased my sales invoices from 7 to 8. And there is the sales invoice that we created, again, all within Microsoft Outlook. The next step is just to post the invoice. So again, all within Outlook, I'll select the ellipsis, and from this document, we'll go ahead and hit post. And now notice the customer has a balance on their account, and we've converted that from a quote to an invoice to a posted invoice, and then I'll convert this to cash. So this becomes more the accounting process once we receive cash from the customer to pay for that. So this is located under cash management. I'll open up the cash receipts journal, and you'll notice here I've got a document type as a payment from this customer, a datum. I'll enter in the amount, and once I do, that was the check we received, I'll go ahead and apply it to the invoice. You'll see here, there's the invoice, so I've got alignment to that. And I'll preview the posting. Everything looks good as to where it's going, into which accounts, and I'm done. So again, this is a common process of quote to cash, but the benefits really is to help, if you think about it, ways in which we can improve productivity. Maybe you've got somebody new in the organization that's just learning the applications. Perhaps we can give them an environment such as Outlook. But again, also be able to quickly respond to those customer requests. In this demonstration, we'll go through a very common business process called quote to cash using two applications within Dynamics 365. We'll use Dynamics 365 Business Central as well as Dynamics 365 for Sales. So in this process, we'll just take a look at the beginning portion of the process as a sales representative who's going to enter in a sales quote and convert that quote to an order within Dynamics 365 for Sales. And then by way of the integration, we'll have the accounting team convert that order to an invoice, post the invoice, and then convert that to cash for the organization. So let's first begin as the role of a sales representative by creating a sales quote. So here I am, I'm using Dynamics 365 for Sales. I have a list of the customers of the accounts that I follow, one of which happens to be a Datum Corporation, one of my key accounts. And immediately you see, again, some details, rich information regarding this account, as well as the customer details that are being fed over on the right-hand side from Dynamics 365 Business Central. So I can see all of the accounting metrics, outstanding orders, outstanding invoices, without having to contact anyone else in my organization. I'm able to just kind of follow through the flow of my job responsibilities and giving me key information. Now, of course, I'm going to go ahead and enter in a quick quote. So I'll hit the plus sign up at the top. We'll enter in a quote. Now I'll give that quote a name, and then the customer is going to be a datum. And here's where I can choose different price lists. So in my scenario, I want to leverage the inventory and the price list that we use that's been configured in Dynamics 365 Business Central, the accounting system, and I'll select OK. Now I've created that opportunity. Let's go ahead and or the quote, I should say. Now let's just go ahead and add products to that. So on the ellipsis, I'll add the quote line. I can either choose from my existing inventory, or I also have the option to deselect existing and handle write-in products, which will then synchronize between the two applications. But let's go ahead and select the product here. We'll go ahead and choose the Berlin guest chair, and brings over the price per unit, as well as I just need to enter in the quantity of 5. I'll save that quote and then activate the quote. Next, I'll convert that quote to a sales order. So here I am with that quote for chairs for a datum. I'll create the order. We won the deal. Provide any kind of stats or descriptions. I'll select OK. And now that order has been created. Now the status in the right corner now says has been submitted, right? So again, this is the integration and the to Business Central. The order's been submitted and sent over to the accounting system. So from here, you'll notice that I can, assuming I have rights to both applications, but once that's been created, the integration sent over to Business Central. Notice for my navigation, I'm not logging in or out. I'm just simply choosing the Dynamics 365 product. And here, I'll open up the sales order tiles. I've got 6 orders, of which this happened to be the one that was sent over, the last one in the list. And there you see the 5 guest chairs for this customer. And I'll post that. And again, depending on the business rules, you can either invoice it, ship an invoice. We'll choose to go ahead and ship an invoice. And now that sales order has been viewed, or I should say has been posted, and we could be viewed under the posted sales invoices. No, that's no longer in my sales list, but available under the posted sales invoices. Now in the integration, here you can see I have the open posted sales invoices. There's the amount. And now I can send this back into Dynamics 365, so I can create that invoice within Dynamics 365 for sales. And to review that, I'll just simply go back, choose my Sales Hub, and you'll see here on the bottom left corner the icon for invoices. You'll see here's that invoice, and here that was created using the integration. And then I just need to convert to cash. So in Business Central, we'll open up the cash receipts journal. I'll select the general journal. Again, I've got this populated for me. Here's a payment from this customer, a datum, and I'll enter in the amount. And then I'll go ahead and apply that to the document, and then I'll post that. And then the last step, just to show you kind of the change in behavior of the documents, if I return back to Dynamics 365 for sales, you'll see here, if I open up, here's that invoice again, and notice the reason or the status has gone from partial to complete, meaning we've applied the funds to that invoice. So in this scenario, we just showed you the quote to cash business process using both Dynamics 365 Business Central and also Dynamics 365 for sales. And really the benefits to an organization is seeing how we can reduce time in the data entry process, and more importantly, right, is respond to customer requests and give people in the organization the details and the information they need to perform their job. You can import electronic bank statements from your bank to quickly fill in the payment reconciliation journal, so you can apply payments and then reconcile the bank account. With Dynamics 365 Business Central, we built an integration using the investment Yodlee bank feed service, and that is installed as an extension to Business Central. It's ready to be enabled, or you can set it up through the assisted setup. In this scenario, we will show you how to link a bank account, establish the automatic bank import, match transactions, and then reconcile. Let's begin with the linking of the bank account. So here I am, I'm logged into Business Central. Up at the top, I have bank accounts, and you'll notice here, I will link the bank account by selecting the Create New Bank Account feed service. Now in the online bank account linking window, the link account pane will, you could either use the search or you can choose any one of the popular ones here. If I do a search here, say for example, we use a service called DAG, D-A-G, and I'll go ahead and select that. And then I'll just enter in my username and password that I use to log on to the online bank, and then just go ahead and do the next button. And then it'll, once it's authenticated, you'll see that these are the accounts that it is linking to. So I've got 3 different accounts from my bank account. And then I select OK. And now you see that I brought those in and they are successfully linked. So let's next, if I want to import bank statements as bank feeds after you enable that service, the payment reconciliation journal will then automatically detect the bank feeds when you choose the import transactions action. So again, back here under the bank service, you'll see now that I have these accounts linked, I can select the automatic import, so I can schedule those feeds to come in periodically. And when the bank feed is enabled, again, you could set up a bank account to automatically feed into here. I'll select OK. And now you'll see that it's not only linked, but it also has the automatic bank service. Now, of course, I must regularly reconcile my bank, the receivables and payable accounts by applying payments that are recorded in the bank to their related unpaid invoices and credit memos and other open entries into Dynamics 365. So to do this, we'll go ahead and select the payment reconciliation journal. I'll choose banking. And then from this window, you immediately see the probability, I should say the confidence level, whether it's low, medium, high, the application has for matching entries. And basically the confidence level is driven by the transaction amount, the date, the description, or the text. And then I can go into here and select post. And if I want to just select the test report, just to preview the resulting payment reconciliation and also the consequences before I perform that action, I could run the quick test report. And this PDF output shows me the potential impact or enables me to see or preview before I actually do the reconciliation. And then the goal here is just to provide users with a single location to perform all of the bank tasks. And then at month-end close, it's time to reconcile the bank statements with the ledger entries. The goal here, I could go ahead and open up that transaction and make the appropriate actions that I want. And we'll go ahead and close that out. And then close this window out. So again, the goal of this demonstration was to show you the ability in which we could automate the banking process within Dynamics 365 Business Central. With all the amazing technology and features aside, customers and prospects often ask, what's it going to take to get started? So in this demonstration, it's to show you how to perform in setting up a brand new company in Dynamics 365 Business Central. So to do that, we'll do is create a new company. We'll configure the company. I'll show you how to get started and then eventually migrate data. So let's begin. I'm logged into Dynamics 365 Business Central. Let's go ahead, and the first thing I would recommend we do is we select on the Alt Q on your keyboard, or just take advantage of the quick search functionalities, and what you're looking to type in is for companies. I'll select companies, and by default you see I have 2 companies already configured. These are the sample companies, come with the trial account. I want to go ahead and create a new company. So then what I do is I just follow the wizard that helps the assisted setup, and I click on next. I'll enter in the company name. In this case here, I'll select Kronos USA, company 1. And I'm going to use the production. So this is going to be a live company, not a test company. And I'll select next. And I'll just follow the prompts and I'm finished. And that was it. I created a brand new company within Dynamics 365 Business Central. I need to configure that company. So once it's completed, I'll select it by opening. And it'll give me a warning that says, hey, this is going to start your 30-day trial. I'm okay with that. I accept the terms and conditions, and I'll start the trial and then finish. The company setup, I'll need to put in a little bit more detail, such as the address, my zip code, as well as if you have a company logo, as this will be displayed on the customer and vendor documents. Put in the additional details, select next. And then I can choose whether or not I want to select the bank feed service or not. I'll have that enabled. If I do select the bank, I'll just need to choose my bank, put in the username and password, the credentials. In this case here, I'm not going to show you my personal account, but again, that's how you would set up the bank feed. Then the next step would be to specify the starting date, your fiscal year period. And then I click on next. And then choose whether or not, or I should say what inventory methods, whether it's FIFO, LIFO. I'll choose here FIFO, and that's it. So effectively, I've created a new company, and then we've configured it, the next step I need to do is show you how to get started. So here's a brand new company. I don't have any sales orders. I don't have any overdue sales amounts. I'll scroll down, and under the business assistance area of the home page, we provide a section that gives you some guidance on how to get started, both from the help. So I can either read the online help, I can watch the videos, or I can even trigger off the assisted setup to reconfigure, say, for example, information about migrating or getting the tax data set up. Close that out. And then the last step is, how do I migrate business data? There's a number of different ways in which you can import data into Business Central. For this demonstration, we're going to use the Excel method. So to migrate that data, you'll see here under the Setup and Extensions, the submenu is called the Assisted Setup. You'll notice here that my company has been complete, so I have a complete status. The next step would be to migrate the data. I'll select Next. And just to show you a couple of different options at time of recording, there certainly could be more, but some of the options in which you want to import. In my case here, I've downloaded the appropriate template for Excel. If you have not, here's the option to download it. I'll select on Next, go ahead and bring in that Excel file. So in this case here, I have customers, vendors, and items, all of my master records that I'm going to go ahead and migrate. And again, it's obviously a small subset for our sample company. I click on Finish, and now that process is complete. And just to walk you through what we brought in from Excel, you can see I brought in customers. If I click on the items, you can see all the items in inventory, and that's it. So again, just a short, simple way in showing you how to get started by creating a new company, configuring it, and then migrating your data. In this demonstration, we'll talk about how the role of the accountant and how to help them manage their day-to-day, detail-oriented work of doing the accounting for the company. We'll start with the quick access to financial information. We'll add a new account to the general ledger. We'll show you how to enter in a journal expense, both from a manual, typical, traditional process, as well as using the Excel import. And then we'll analyze the impact on that account. So in the first scenario, we'll demonstrate just quick access to financial information. You know, the accountant role-tailored homepage that's on display here offers metrics, cues, and shortcuts to key areas within the application that are relevant to this role owner. So you could see here, again, shortcuts such as finance, journals, cash management, cost accounting, and fixed assets, etc. Again, provide shortcut access directly to the areas that are most relevant to this particular role. When we scroll down, you'll see all the information that provides, again, details within a single click, such as key accounts in the top left corner, my vendors, my customers, as well as the financial performance. And then you could scroll even further to see, again, some additional detailed charts, a cash flow statement, as well as we've got this aged accounts receivable on display. And it's clearly alarming to see outstanding receivables longer than 4 weeks, better yet, 10 weeks. I think as that role owner, we probably want to drill in to see that what's causing that 10 weeks to be past due. So we'll probably need to call that customer immediately to make a collection on that. You'll see here under the cash flow that I could hover over April, and I can get a quick view of some of the key indicators regarding that cash flow, my outflows, inflows, etc. As I scroll up, the accountant should have access to the chart of accounts as well as the associated balances for those accounts. So again, hard-coded into this role-based homepage is the chart of accounts. Just a couple of key areas, as users working within Microsoft applications expect. You have standard keyboard functions that work within the web application. For instance, users might want to export data from the web into Excel in the desktop experience. To do that, we can either select all by doing Control-A with my keyboard, and then Control-C to copy, which is the shortcut copy. Then I'll minimize Business Central, and with Microsoft Excel, I'll simply hit Control-V or paste, And now you see that users can begin to leverage Excel for that additional flexible tasks and data manipulation. We'll go ahead and minimize Excel. Now, while most key tasks are surfaced right here on the role page, you can see here, for example, I might want to quickly and easily access the trial balance report. So we'll open that up by summary. And now again, you get a quick snapshot without having to necessarily regenerate or generate a report. It just opens up on display for preview right here on the screen. Additional reports you can see here. Again, I can open up, look at my financial statements, or if I want to run some additional bi-directional, meaning refreshable Excel reports. In this case here, I'll click on the balance sheet. And again, you could see my balance sheet on display in Excel. We'll go ahead and close that out. So again, that was just to show you kind of the overview, a basic navigation for the role-based owner, the accountant. Now, as you think about most businesses, right, we've implemented the software. However, our business continues to grow, and we now need to account for expenses that we didn't already consider during the implementation. One of those is travel expense. So currently, there isn't an account number set up to track travel, but instead of always having to call our accountant or do this, you want to create that for yourself. So we'll go into the chart of accounts, and just to make sure, I'll use my shortcut key again, F3, or you could leverage the search right here. So when I hit F3, it enables that, and I'll type in travel. And again, currently travel's not an account that is set up nor used for tracking in the general ledger. Let's go ahead and add that account. I'll hit new. I'll enter in the new GL, general ledger account number 61550. Enter in travel expense. Now I'll choose the account category, in this case here expenses, as well as my subcategory. In this, I'll choose travel. And I'm done. I'll close that out. Now the list, because it was filtered on travel, it only shows that on display. But again, you can see how adding an account is very simple and easy. This experience empowers the users, the accountants, to basically control this information that they want, that they need for reporting purposes. Now that I have that expense, I want to go ahead and, we need to add it to we've added to the general ledger. I need to record a transaction or payment to the account. So one of the requirements you learned also was to be able to track that to a particular or specific department. So let's see how that's done. So I'll select on journals, and under journals we have general journals, and I'll choose the default batch. Now the account number, right, is the one we added here for 61550. You'll see the name and the description come across, and I'll go ahead and enter in a debit amount. Now, again, I wanted to, I could post that transaction today, right, with any additional steps. However, the company is needing to track certain expenses by department. Now, this is not always easy in other accounting systems. However, with Dynamics 365 Business Central, it's an option available from within the application without making major adjustments to our solution. What I do is I'll select on dimensions, and this opens up a pop-up window, and I'll choose the appropriate dimension code. In this case here, department. And then I just do select the associated value for that department. So it could be administration or production, or I'm going to choose sales because that's the team that I was going to assign this cost to or expense to. And then I go ahead and post the transaction. And it says that the journal lines were posted. I could see the impact of that just simply by opening up a detailed trial balance report. Now, beyond traditional accounting systems, right, and the manual entry that I just showed, Dynamics 365 Business Central allows for users to import journal entries directly linking with Microsoft Excel. This is the next scenario that we'll demonstrate in its capability. So I'm going to return back to the general journals that we saw just a moment ago, and we'll open up that default batch. Now, instead of just typing in line by line, you'll notice here that, as in most of the list pages within the application, there's an option to edit in Excel. And this, again, maintains, by choosing this, it maintains the direct connection between the two applications, that is Dynamics 365 Business Central and Microsoft Excel.
You'll notice that it even provides the security measures that we want to ensure, right? So it recognizes the user login. Now I'll select this column here. It's going to ask me for the posting date. So I'll choose that date, and then you would obviously type in, enter your details. I'll just copy and paste my details and then scroll over to the right. Again, you see all the information that is available. And now for me to push this or to publish it back into Business Central, you'll notice in the right bottom right corner, you have this publish button. Then I'll click on publish and I'll select yes. You'll see this message here in the bottom right that it was successful. Let's take a look. So I'll minimize Excel. And here I am in the general journals, and you see the items I had on my spreadsheet is now available for me here. And then I could, the next logical step would be to process and post that transaction. Now, another thing we hear a lot around is the ability, again, controls to be able to, that's essential to the accountants. And we want to make sure we keep a track on miscellaneous expense account, that people aren't just using that as a bucket account to just put in any kind of expenses. So what I do is here on my homepage, if you remember earlier, I set up my favorite accounts, of one of which is my accounts payable. That's 20100. We'll click on that, and again, I drill right into the account number. And here I can see not only just the balance and some key metrics around this account, I could drill right into the ledger entries that represents that accounts payable, and again, do some further analysis. So they can quickly and easily see the supporting ledgers for that particular account. And then the general ledger account balance is also available for me to drill in, and I can see again where that credit amount and all these numbers are easily drillable into. We'll close that out. And again, this scenario around the goal was to demonstrate how an accountant would benefit from Dynamics 365 Business Central. The benefits are to reduce the number of clicks, improve the control of the data and business, and also limit errors and ensure correct data entry. In this demonstration, we'll demonstrate the role of a bookkeeper. Now, the bookkeeper typically handles the day-to-day financials of a smaller, medium-sized business. They're involved with creating invoices, paying bills, and balancing the bank statement. So obviously a solution that you present to the bookkeeper should focus on those core responsibilities of creating invoices, paying bills on time, balancing the bank statements, and then creating financial statements. So in this scenario, what we'll do is we'll enter in a purchase invoice. We'll show you how to automate the purchase invoice entry, review the vendor balance, and then pay that vendor. So the first part of the steps in this presentation is to show you how to manually enter in purchase invoices, so that we can provide users with an easy, simple way to enter purchase invoices either in the business application or, believe it or not, within Microsoft Outlook. So think through that scenario where you may have, say, employee turnover or a new staff member, and you're responsible for training them. And sometimes it's not always easy to learn a new application, but what if you had an environment, say, that's familiar to the user, such as Microsoft Outlook, to process this invoice? So you'll see here I've got an invoice, a purchase invoice from a vendor. The company is called Wide World Importers, and they've sent me the invoice via email. Now, typically, I'd have to go into an application. I'd minimize this. I'd go into the application. I'd go find the vendor, and I'd manually enter in that data. Or by using Dynamics 365 Business Central integrated into Microsoft productivity tools such as Outlook, all I need to do is select on the Contact Insights button in my ribbon, and you'll see I get a wealth of information regarding the vendor. Right, so it's authenticating and it recognizes the inbound email address, thus provides me everything about that vendor, which is the statistics, the outstanding balances, anything else that's relevant to that vendor, which I can drill into. Now, all I need to do is select new. I'll create this purchase invoice, and what's really impressive here too is that it's constantly monitoring not just the inbound email, but it has the applications have the intelligence
to recognize the text or the body of the email. Now, it probably sees Atlanta as an address from the vendor or something in there, so that's not what I want to bring in, but it does see the two line items of Amsterdam and the Sydney swivel chair. So I'll say, sure, that makes my life simpler. I select OK, and now you see those two items that are on the line items. And then we'll scroll down to see, again, additional detail. And I bring this up just because it's more than just a Qt add-in that looks at headers and lines, but you can see I have the ability to change the payment terms, and again, all the other default information relative that was done during the setup. We'll go ahead and select the ellipsis, and now I can post that invoice right from directly within Outlook. And just to prove that out, you can see I've got an invoice here, 108211. We'll minimize Outlook and we'll go into the posted purchase invoices. I'll hit the F3 key, or I could just enable search, type in that 108211, and there's that purchase invoice that I just created within Outlook. So I just showed you a way in which we could automate that process, and next I'm going to show you how to automate that even further. And so working directly with attachments that come in from these vendors could be common as well. And so let's assume this vendor, could be a customer, doesn't provide me all the details in the body of the email. Instead, I receive an attachment of the invoice, the receipt of goods from the vendor to my inbox, and I want to be able to process that, right? Again, think through the risks, the errors, the potential increase in productivity by pulling in this attachment. So again, you see the same email here, and after receiving the purchase invoice and reviewing the vendor invoice, we certainly want to see if there's ways of efficiencies, right? So again, you see that is the two line items that we added. And again, I'll select on that contact insights. Now, what's going to be a little bit different in this, again, before I created the document right away, it may be just more efficient for me to, via the ellipsis, send this out to a service or send it into my incoming documents folder to have somebody approve it, and then let the optical character recognition or OCR service just process that automatically for us. So I'll say OK, and I'll select OK there. And that's all I need to do. Now I've taken that attachment and I've forwarded it on from Outlook into Business Central. You'll see here again in the particular role center I'm logged into, I have this incoming document tile. I'll open this invoice, and again, you see here it's the same as we just saw in Outlook. Close that out. And now if I want to convert that to a purchase invoice, I'll send that over to OCR service. And you can see that the status has been sent, right? And the status here for the document has been released. And then I go ahead and say, once it does its processing, you can see the OCR status is successful, and it has created that record, that purchase invoice for me. And then I can go ahead and again, click on post and follow the steps for that posting the invoice. Now to view the vendor balance, I'll go ahead and select vendors. Again, that's available for me right here at the top, Wide World Importers. And you get everything about their detail and the main setup. But I wanted to just simply drill into the balance of this $27,000 to see this document number 108211 that we started out with, right? So in addition to the past purchase invoices I can see here that are outstanding, I see the most recent one that we just processed. And then, of course, the fourth and final step would be to pay the vendor. So I'll go into cash management. I'll select on the payment journals. And then I can either manually, again, search that out, or in the payment journal window, you can use suggest vendor payments, batch job, to suggest the payment lines. So we'll go ahead and select that, and you can see all of the vendors that we owe, and then you could manually determine which ones are have a greater priority or make some manual intervention to it. So we'll go ahead and close that out. And again, in this demonstration was to show you just some of the basic accounting functions of a bookkeeper.
The benefits are just to reduce the initial learning of a new system, as you saw, by processing that in applications outside of the ERP or accounting system. Clearly, to demonstrate how to reduce time in data entry, improve control of the data, and just limit those errors. In this demonstration, we'll show you the role of the external CPA for a small medium business and how they can be a part of managing and handling the business, the books, or audit the books. Again, depends on an organization's size or relationship with that external CPA, but the goal of this is to show you how simple and easy it is to provide access to that external accountant. So there really is just two processes. So if you do use an external accountant to manage your books and financial reporting, you can invite them to your Business Central application so they can work with you on your fiscal data. And once your external accountant has gained access to Business Central, they'll log in as the accountant role center, and that'll give them access to the most relevant windows for their work. So the first step, right, again, if you're is to invite the external accountant. So in order for me to do that, I'll go into the assisted setup window. So that's located under setup and extensions, and then the assisted setup. And there is a wizard-based menu that allows me or assists me into inviting that external accountant. So we'll hit the invite external accountant. You'll read the terms, and if you agree to it, hit accept, and then click next. Now you'll need to enter in the required details, such as their email address of the accountant, their first name and last name, and then if you wanted to add any kind of welcome email beyond the standard canned email. I'll select on next. So in this case here, I've got the email address, I've got the name. I'll select next. And that's it. Now, in terms of manage the business for that external accountant and how they gain access, you'll see the experience for them is they'll be logged into Outlook. They'll receive an email, again, based on what you set up in terms of their email address, but also the sample email. In order for them to gain access, they just need to accept your invitation. That'll be the link here on display. So when they open that up, it'll authenticate them, and they're logged into Business Central as the external accountant. Again, the security role is based on that external CPA, but you can see here the benefits is that you have a streamlined process between the company and your external CPA. You really do improve the control of the data. You're not sending files back and forth, having them upload it. You're simply allowing them to gain access to a contained, secured environment. In this demonstration, we're going to show you the role of the marketing manager using Dynamics 365 Business Central. Now, obviously, as I'm talking to a marketing manager, we know that our solution must target their core responsibilities around creating and managing campaigns, opportunity and customer segments, targets, campaign profitability, and how we're going to attract new customers while maintaining relationship with our existing customers. So in this scenario, what we're going to do is we'll talk about how we are going to do some customer research. We'll create a campaign, select my target audience, initiate the campaign, and then of course track the responses. And so let me go back here just to the research. So let's assume the marketing manager, they begin their campaign or any kind of product launch through research and investigation of the business, right? They'll rely on their team members, company personnel. We'll look at what we've done successfully, where our failures were, but that's essential before investing in any campaign or promotion. And so one of the tools integrated in this demonstration is a part of Dynamics 365 Business Central, but also includes Teams, Microsoft Teams, and SharePoint, because that provides the marketing manager with a wealth of information here. So again, I'm logged in as a particular role here in the campaign marketing manager. And while I'm in as Business Central, I want to maybe lop out to Teams. We've begun leveraging Microsoft Teams to collaborate and share ideas and files, etc. So when I go into Teams, right, this is that hub for our teamwork and all of our content, tools, people, our conversations. They're available right here in the team workspace. And we've got one, although there's corp, there's sales, operations, we've got one dedicated just for the marketing team. So if I expand that out,
you can see that I've got some documents and files that are embedded into the conversation, right? That's a natural part of our organization and how we communicate with each other. This file happens to be a campaign detail file. It was uploaded to the file library from Dynamics 365 Business Central, but I can open up this PDF, and you can see again some of the campaigns that we ran, and just some ideas around the cost, et cetera, and the profitability. Now I click on the files, and I've got again a number of different reports. This all came in from Business Central, Dynamics 365 Business Central. They've been shared into this channel in Microsoft Teams. So we try to remove those barriers of sharing information typically that happen in other applications, so that team members, they use the information, they can make better decisions. So for example, I can see those top 10 inventory items or top 20 inventory items, and then I could even have some dialogue with my coworkers right within this application and say, hey, this seems like a great opportunity on some of the products. And then Alex writes back, yep, thanks to the cloud, we can certainly kind of collaborate and work with each other. Now I could open this up in SharePoint, and again, you see all the files there, and then we could also use OneNote, right? So again, I've got kind of using my inking capabilities, as well as just a great way to kind of reduce those barriers between applications. Now, just to return back to Business Central, right? And with again the security credentials, the marketing manager does not have to log in and log out. It simply carries me through. So we're done with the research. I want to go ahead and create a campaign. So you'll see here, again, under the role of the marketing manager, along with a number of different activities and the opportunities, you'll see here I can quickly create the plus, just a brand new campaign. I'll type in the description. We'll call it trade show. And then the status code, I'll choose from the drop down. We'll go ahead and start just to plan that and what the start date and ending date is for those. So we're going to start it in June, end it in June. So we've got a month campaign, and it just takes a few clicks to create that. Now, once I've got the campaign, I need to create my target audience, my segments, if you will. So I'll select on the segments, and we'll go ahead and create those new segments. So in this case here, I'll call it the visitors that we met at a recent trade show. And let's go ahead and add the context that we captured. So again, you could choose and filter, refine those particular targets however you want. In this case here, what I'm going to choose is I want to go get just the customers. Again, you could certainly classify this data however you want within Dynamics 365 Business Central. I'll select OK. And these are all my existing customers. And again, they're going to be targeted for this trade show. Go ahead and close that out. Now I've created the campaign, I've created segments or targets, and now I'm going to go ahead and activate that campaign. This is the next step, because we want to go ahead and send out collateral to customers who visited our booth last month. So under campaigns here on the top, you'll see where I've got this trade show highlighted, and then in the ribbon, we'll go ahead and activate that. You can have unique sales prices, discounts. I don't have any, but you can certainly associate those. You click on OK, yes, and now that is activated. You can see the messaging right here, and then we could open up the segments. And then again, the campaign we created, it was designed as an email campaign, so it includes an ebook as an attachment. And so once that campaign is activated, the marketing manager can log activities and interactions. So I go ahead and hit log. I'll send that attachment out. I've uploaded this attachment, and then you can see what it looks like here. So we just have the Modern Partner Series. It's a white paper or an ebook that we're going to go ahead and include with the campaign. And then I click OK. And then the last step is just to track the campaign, right? So I'm interested in not just running these, but I want to make sure that we're successful. I want to understand the key statistics, the delivery, the costs associated with this. So again, you see this tile now populated. I have one active campaign. With that highlighted, I'll hit process, and I can see the statistics of it. So the number of targets, maybe the response rate, what the cost associated to that is, and the average cost, etc. So again, I get a pretty nice experience within Dynamics 365 Business Central to do light campaign management. And then on this report, I want to go ahead and look at the campaign details. You saw this earlier that I had uploaded into Microsoft Teams, but you can see here now with this campaign, this trade show, we start date, end date, the cost and the associated costs and the number of opportunities that'll have been generated from that campaign. So that's the demonstration for the marketing manager. Really, it's just the idea was to show you how we can improve control of the data, both from research, create the campaign, create a target audience, initiate that, and then track the campaign itself. In this demonstration, we'll demonstrate how you use Dynamics 365 Business Central in the role of the business owner. Now, we all know that the business owner for any small and medium business is involved with a lot of aspects of the operation of the business. Everything from how to manage cash, target and attract new customers, maintain relationships with existing customers, controlling expenses, and of course, hiring, retaining good employees, and so on. For this demonstration, we'll focus on 4 key areas. That is, number 1, we'll review the health of the business. Then we'll segue into how does the owner of a business identify trends and opportunities using our solutions. We'll review customer history, and then again, overall arching message around managing the business. So in the first step, right, in terms of review the health of the business, one of the challenges or priorities for any business owner is to have a clear understanding of the entire health of a business. Too often business owners just don't have a clear understanding of how they're doing with sales, with inventory levels, inventory valuations, project overruns, and even margins. So as you can see here, when you're logged into Business Central for the first time, you'll notice there's a wealth of information directly on the home page. Now, this Business Manager role homepage is on display, and that's what I'm using to demonstrate the owner. But it offers a quick access to key metrics and activities to connect this individual to what they need immediately at their fingertips. Now, as we scroll down, you'll see here that the owner gets, again, a quick glance of key indicators in the business assistant part. They get key indicators that help drive the business. But in addition to that, on the right-hand side of the page, you'll see that we can incorporate Power BI charts and graphs very easily, and that provides additional intelligent insights or context for that owner. Now let's go ahead and scroll up, and you'll see here up at the top left, highlighted here, I have this Intelligent Cloud Insights. And this page shows 4 key areas of interest for most businesses. That's going to be cash availability, sales profitability, net income, and the inventory value. So you can see here are those key performance indicators. In addition to having the Power BI reports on my homepage, I can also have them on display here in the Intelligent Cloud Insights. Now I'll click in, the primary interest any business is cash on hand, is that clearly demonstrates the health of the business. And so the owner has quick insights into that by drilling into the tile. Now, after confirming the business is healthy, the owner decides to review additional intelligence cues on the homepage. So we'll close that out. You'll see here under the insights, we notice that we have 10 customers who are late in paying. So when I drill into that, again, you can see all those customers with several payments long overdue. It's probably time for the owner to put his or her collection hat on and call that customer. We'll close that window out, and that kind of wraps up that first section here. Now, the next area I wanted to talk about was identifying trends, which can be timely, could be frustrating, and a laborious process that often requires a lot of data manipulation and intimacy of the underlying data. In many companies, this is a very manual process, oftentimes heavily relies on Excel and that common navigation of export to Excel, and then the analysis is subjective. Well, Power BI transforms your company's data into rich visualizations for you to collect, organize, and allows business owners to kind of focus on what matters most to them. Now, as you would expect in a Microsoft solution here, the navigation to go from Business Central into my cloud Power BI dashboard is simply up here in the top left. And you'll see here by toggling, I can navigate to any one of the applications that we have licensed with Microsoft. I'm going to open up the Power BI dashboard. And here you'll see that I have my dashboard, all of my current recent favorites, as well as the frequent ones I tend to open up. And we'll open up this one right here. You'll see I get to my financial report, and this is where I see that rich, deep visualization that enables me to consume data and make good decisions for the business. Now I can select recent. Once I've kind of looked at this financial dashboard, I'll click on the recent. And you can see here again all the different reports, dashboards, some spreadsheets that I have included in here as well to my workspace. But what I think makes our solution very unique is that we leverage all the innovations that are happening elsewhere at Microsoft. For example, this light bulb, it's called Quick Insights, and it's a component of Power BI which provides additional insight based on trends, historical, and as well as provides forecasts. So this insights feature is built on a growing set of advanced analytical algorithms that have been developed by Microsoft Research and that we are able to leverage and incorporate into the experience. So when I click on that Quick Insights, again, it displays these what is referred to as cards. These are the results of data analysis. So I can see different aspects of my business. So while I can comb through spreadsheets and graphs in any solution, using the insights here provides me additional context, right, as far as outliers or any other trends that I might see. If I scroll down, again, I can see that, for example, I've got this item number 20 and 11 have noticeably more actual balance variance compared to the others. I'll select back to recent, and I alluded to this earlier, but we can also incorporate Excel data, right? So again, additional insights from my Excel data all within a single location. And then you'll notice here if I click into the Business Central, into the financial data where we had started, one of the features is that ability to not just have clear insight and visualization, but oftentimes the owner has the need for this data to be portable, to take offline, but yet remain connected and online. And so what I mean by that is, as an example, is running to meet with shareholders, stakeholders, investors. The business owner can take their dashboard from Power BI and export that into PowerPoint. And then just as I could in PowerPoint, I now have a snapshot of the data that I had online, but now I have it in a format that's more meaningful to my board members. Now, as I advance the slide, you can see next, you can also, if you do have an internet connection, users can then drill in and still navigate into the chart themselves. Again, assuming I'm connected to the internet, I could just drill in, and that will authenticate. It opens up Power BI. I'm back online, and then I can drill into the details here. So I've got 2019 and 18. I can drill in. And of the 2019 data, I can drill into the quarter by quarter. So expanding the detail to review those results. The third step was to review the customer history. Here again, I can toggle or return back to Business Central simply by opening up the app switcher on the top left. I'll select on Dynamics 365. Now, all of my Dynamics applications that I have licensed, whether that's our customer engagement or talent, customer service insights, as well as Business Central, and I can even shortcut directly into the customer list. So here you see I've got my customers, and then to drill into the customer statement with Tray Research selected, I use the drill down into statistics to get, again, within a few clicks, I'm able to quickly and easily access the information I need specific to this particular customer. I'll close out of that window. And then the last step was to manage the business, right? So during discovery, your team learned the importance of reporting and how to help that organization manage the business. In this demonstration, we'll show you how easy it is to monitor cash and ensure that it's positive to say that, hey, we're still in business. So up at the top right here, you'll notice that I have these Excel reports. These are one of the many reporting options available within Business Central. And you can see here, these are refreshable Excel reports. Go ahead and see that aged account receivable report, and we can close that out. Now search, this is a global search capability that allows users to quickly locate the information they need to perform tasks to achieve their goals. So we can either use keyboard shortcut, the Alt key with the letter Q, or you could just use that little magnifying glass. We'll type in customer balance, and you'll notice of the three options I have, I'm interested in the trial balance. And here you see I can just get a quick preview in this format that's embedded online to get a quick view of the trial balance from that customer. So we'll close out of that. And again, the reason of this demonstration was to show you how, as a business owner, I'm able to review the health of my business, identify trends and opportunities, review customer history, and manage the overall business. And the benefits are to, again, to improve productivity, make better decisions, and spend less time searching and more time dedicated to analysis. In this demonstration, we'll show you the role of the project manager using Dynamics 365 Business Central. We'll begin by showing you a basic process, and that is to create a new job. We'll enter a timesheet for the job. Then we'll have somebody approve the timesheet. We'll create the job journal, and then we'll invoice the customer for that work. So the first step is to create the job. So you'll see here I'm logged in a role-based homepage for the project manager. And you see again, I get context associated, the cues, the menus, the key tasks that are associated with creating a job and the integrated tasks and planning lines. We'll go ahead and scroll down and you can see my current jobs. I've got reporting and productivity or profitability on those particular jobs. We'll go ahead and scroll back up and you see right here, I want to go ahead and create a new job. So the project manager decides, it'd probably be wise to leverage a previous project as a template for creating the new job. So we'll select yes and then click next. You'll put in the description. So in this case here, it's a new office remodel, and we're going to go ahead and bill customer 30,000. And the auto numbering happens for the job number. We'll select next. Now you'll see here the project manager follows the wizard-driven prompts on the screen, beginning with the copy from. So for example, here I can copy from a particular remodel that we did recently. And you could either filter on tasks. So for example, I could choose the from and to tasks and choose specific ones, or I hit cancel and leave it blank. And then that automatically import or copy all of the tasks. And then I'll select OK. And then you're done. The wizard's complete and the new project has been created. So you see now I've got a new project. I've got job planning lines. And I'm ready next to enter in a timesheet for a job. So scenario here is that one of your consultants has performed tasks related to the project and submits their time. So you'll see here that I'll open up the timesheet. You'll see that I've got the timesheet entered in for the resource with Linda. And that's going to be associated to that new office remodel. And the initial consultant entered their time. It was really just based on some consulting hours that happened here on Tuesday for 8 hours, and we'll submit that time. And I'll go ahead and, all the lines that were open, and I'll close that out. Next, right, as the on-site consultant, they've already submitted their time associated with a job and a specific task. The project manager then has the responsibility to approve their time, which in turn then would trigger all the accounting policies to bill that client. So you see here too, first of all, there's no longer an open timesheet. You'll see the timesheets here. Now I have 2 to approve. And we'll select the one that we just had on display. You'll see that it was for consulting under this job. And it was the 8 hours. It's been submitted. and I go ahead and again, after reviewing all the details, the time, and all the associated activities, I can either approve it or reject it. We'll go ahead and approve it. The status has changed to approved, and I'll close that out. And then the last thing would be to, or the second last, excuse me, is to create that job journal. So here you can see, since the time has been submitted and approved, the project manager leverages the built-in capability of the application to auto-suggest lines from the timesheets. And now that consultant has been added, and then I can just go ahead and post, and then we'll just invoice the customer. I'll select on jobs, and you can create an invoice for a job or for one or more tasks for a customer when either the work to be invoiced is complete or the date for invoicing based on invoicing scheduling has been reached. So we'll go ahead and select on the create the invoice. I'll enter in the options to generate that sales invoice here, and you'll see that one invoice has been created, and then I'll go ahead and post that. So I'm back here in the jobs, and I have that sales invoice that I just created for Linda, her 8 hours, and then we'll go ahead and post that, send it to the customer, and they now have the invoice. And so again, the demonstration there, the goal was to demonstrate the role of the project manager, showing you ways and the benefits to be able to increase productivity, make better decisions, and quickly and manage custom projects.
In this demonstration, we'll play the example of the sales manager using Dynamics 365 Business Central. Obviously, a solution that's presented to a sales manager should always focus on the core responsibilities of managing a sales team, managing quota, forecast, and reporting, and of course, access to inventory. In this scenario, I'll show you how to inspect all the overdue sales opportunities, access inventory quantities directly within the application, and then review any open sales opportunities. Let's begin. So inspecting the overdue opportunities, you'll see here you have a role-based homepage. So you do have some customer management, relationship management, or CRM capabilities within Business Central. And so here you can see I'm logged in as a sales manager, and I get a wealth of information that's relevant to me, right? A lot of the details are delivered here right within that homepage. And beyond the tiles and the cues on the top half of the page, if I scroll down again, not only to see the funnel and the opportunities, I've got tiles, and again, at the end of the month, tiles and graphs, etc., to show me my top 5 opportunities. But at the end of the month or the end of the quarter, the sales manager is certainly alarmed by the red flag denoted by these overdue opportunities. So we could go ahead and click into the overdue opportunities. And you'll see here there are several opportunities that are outstanding and that require additional research. So I can click on the column to personalize the sorting option. So I can just simply select on that and now have that descending based on the estimated value. And then with this opportunity highlighted, I'll just show that opportunity card. And so again, I can see the description. I could see the salesperson. It says it's a low priority. And where it is in the sales cycle, it's in stage 1. And I can click on the number of different interactions here. So again, we've got a large opportunity, one of our largest, and just want to, after the initial call, I could see here the outcome was tagged as very positive. I can open up the comments here. You can see that this was a very positive interaction, but I need to make sure I can comment or look at all the notes on that opportunity, see how relevant that is and whether it's going to close for us this period. Now, in many organizations, providing information to these team members is paramount to the success. And traditionally, salespeople don't necessarily always see what is in inventory, right? There's a limited view of data that typically rolls into, say, the accountant or the bookkeepers, right? All the financial folks. But using Dynamics 365 Business Central, I'm able as a sales manager to quickly and easily find the information that I need
again, assuming I've been granted rights to it, but that I don't have to log in and out of applications to see that data. So you can see again, I'm back on this home page, and up at the top, under the menu here, you can see I have access to my items. So I can, again, kind of reducing those barriers that typically exist within organizations that I don't really know what's physically in inventory. So I can see all the desks, the chairs, I can see kind of a description of them, as well as the number of units that we have in inventory. But going beyond that, you can see here we have some artificial intelligence, some apps. This one is called the Sales and Inventory Forecast app, and it's embedded. It comes within the application. And with the item inventory selected, you could see that these are the items that I have in inventory for this Athens desk. Now, if I toggle and I show the sales forecast, it tells a much different story. You can see that over the next couple of months, we've got a very healthy pipeline. That's going to be a little bit of a concern, and I want to have some dialogue with our procurement team just to make sure that we are either manufacturing or purchasing enough of those Athens desks to satisfy demand. Now, I can also have access to reporting. Again, I can click on inventory reports. I can see the statistics of that. I can see what my top selling items happen to be. Clearly, the Athens desk at 27% is a key item for us. So again, we want to make sure that we're staying on top of that, so that as our customers call in, we are providing, we have inventory to satisfy that demand. So again, I could come into here, I could look at some of the details. Again, this might be more so I can see, where uh, the items are sold. This creates another opportunity for me to meet with the sales team to see how much inventory we have in stock. Maybe create a strategy on how do we sell items that might be old in inventory that we've had here again before the year. So maybe these Sydney chairs, these green chairs weren't selling very much, but maybe we can come up with a creative way to get rid of those out of inventory. So again, that's just a simple way for me to gain access to inventory as well as reporting, and then obviously the ability to review the sales opportunities. So in this scenario here, what I'm going to do is switch to my dashboard, my cloud dashboard. We use Microsoft Power BI. So I switch from Business Central. I don't have to log in nor log out. It authenticates, uses the same security credentials. And now that dashboard that I have here, I can drill in and see the details of any particular report that I want to see, or opportunity details. I can come into recent here, and then again, I can also have kind of some detailed reports from Excel and do some manipulation here with the pivot table and charts. And then I can come back round trip back into Dynamics 365 Business Central. So the goal of this demonstration for the sales manager was just to show you how we can provide an experience around controlling the data, limit errors without having to log into 2 different applications to look at inventory, and also have access to key reports relevant to that role. In this demonstration, we'll talk about the role of the salesperson using Dynamics 365. Oftentimes, the salesperson can also be the role owner or the company owner. And obviously, in addition to the role of increasing revenue, we want to make sure we have happy or satisfied customers. That sales rep goal is to reduce the friction between the company and its customers. So if you show a solution to the sales rep or the business development manager, obviously you want to talk about opportunity management, mobility, and immediate access to sales history, inventory levels, while being able to identify trends to maximize their time. In this scenario, what I'll do is I'll show you how we can, using our applications, review the current sales numbers, enter in a sales quote. Now I'll go between 2 different applications in this scenario, both Dynamics 365 Business Central, but also navigate through within Dynamics 365 for sales, as well as Dynamics 365 customer service, and then we'll come back to Business Central. So let's take a look. So first, I'm here within the sales representative's homepage. And you'll notice here that I've got obviously some graphical details. I can see all of my customers, as well as I can incorporate my Power BI dashboards that were created, and I have them right here on the home page. So for example, I could drill into that team scorecard. I could drill into the trailing orders and kind of see the four trailing orders that we have. So again, I've got a lot of flexibility of seeing the current information and reporting right within my fingertips. Now to obviously I get calls from customers. I want to start to show that process here. So again, as I mentioned, you could see your favorite customers, right? The ones that are assigned to you. So for example, I can drill into customer 30,000 and I see the School of Fine Art. I see as information regarding their sales. I can drill into their balance due because again, as my role as a sales representative isn't just to place orders, but it's to liaise or to be that liaison between the customer and my company. And I want to let them know that, hey, we've got some outstanding invoices that in case we do place another order, I want to make sure that you guys are in good standing and before we place that. We'll go ahead and close out of this window. And you'll see here on the right-hand side, it's, the statistics. So while I'm logged into, right, you see up here Business Central, you'll notice because of the tight integration with Dynamics 365 for Sales, I can see opportunities, quotes, and cases. In this case here, I have 0 quotes. Let's go ahead and create that quote in Dynamics 365 for Sales. Right, so I open this up. I'm in the School of Fine Art. Again, just to point out the tight integration, you see over on the right-hand side the customer number from Business Central, their balance due, any of the outstanding orders and outstanding invoices. So again, you have that two-way integration depending on where the application that you typically use. I'll click on the plus sign and I'm just going to do a quick quote. So I'll type in the name of the opportunity, again, the potential customers, the School of Fine Art. And this is what will change depending on my selection here. I'm going to use Business Central as my price list, or it could be the price list that we're using, driving inventory and rules from Dynamics 365 for Sales. But again, we've made a policy in our organization. We're going to use Business Central's price list. I'll select Save. And now you see I've got a quote. I can look at it. I have the header information. I need to add the products, the lines. So I'll select the products. Now, I can either use a write-in, right, by selecting here. So I'm going to use the existing products. I could use the write-ins if I choose to. And then from the drop-down, I can start to type in. But again, because I selected Business Central, this is pulling my inventory items and the suggested retail cost. So I'm going to choose those Berlin chairs, the price per unit, and I'll enter in 5, and I'll go ahead and save that and activate that quote. So now I've got a quote for School of Fine Art, $964, and that's it. Now with the integration to all of the Dynamics 365 applications, right, as a sales rep, I also want to make sure that, again, the customer is happy with us. So again, without having to log in or log out, I can see here from the drop down all the different Dynamics 365 apps. In this case here, I'll open up the Customer Service Hub. And from here, I could see, again, any active cases for my customer, maybe an incomplete shipment, damaged shipments, etc. But again, I want to make sure that I'm proactively staying on top of that as I'm maintaining that relationship with the customer. And then just to come full circle, I can navigate back into Business Central. So you can see here, I can return. And you'll notice also that my quotes has been updated from 0 to 1. So again, I've got that tight, seamless integration between the applications. And really the benefits in this demonstration was to show you how the increased productivity by the increased data accuracy, and I spend less time in 2 different applications while they share data. I'm only needing to update one of the applications, and then they can help me make better decisions.